Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who ruled and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And I'm going to start it off in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And this isn't speaking about ancient Egypt. This is speaking about spiritual Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8, the United States of America. And as it just said, there won't be any work for Egypt which the head or tail may do. Those at the top, going through to the middle class, all the way down to those at the bottom. And as we can clearly see, you've got a lot of people struggling to find work right now and holding on to the jobs that they have right now. And it's only going to get worse going forward as this economy continues, to deteriorate. And then, with this push for AI, taking even more jobs away from people. But I opened up the video with this verse to preface this article from the mostimportantnews.com titled, "Only 48% of U.S. adults under the age of 30 have a full-time job. I'm so glad that I am not a young adult looking for a job in this very difficult economic environment. Every month, federal bureaucrats tell us that the unemployment rate in this country is low, but at this point, everyone knows that the numbers that they give us are fake. The reality of the matter is that it is now the toughest time in years to find a good job in the United States, and that is particularly true for young people. According to Mark Mitchell, a Rasmussen Reports survey that will soon be released will show that only 48% of U.S. adults under the age of 30 currently have a full-time job. So less than 40%, less than 50% of people, under the age of 30 have a full-time job. So what does that mean for everybody else? They're either working, low wage, part-time jobs, or unemployed as it is. I believe among the Generation Z, they're the highest percentage of Americans that are still living with their parents. And then, you've got millennials, some of them that have had to move back in with their parents. Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen Reports Twitter says, coming soon, only 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds say they have a full-time job. As the results of the last presidential election demonstrated, Rasmussen is typically very accurate, so this is an extremely alarming development. Vast numbers of our young adults are working low-paying part-time jobs right now because that is all they can get. But as the employment market gets even tighter, there will even be intense competition for those jobs. I shall cause, the work in Egypt to fail, that either the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And then on top of these, low-paying jobs becoming lucrative for people out here, you got a lot of baby boomers in, higher positions that don't want to leave because, they can see that, their retirement isn't going to see them, to their deaths. So they're clogging up those positions. So then you've got Gen X's and millennials in a tough position as well. It's just, tough all around the board economically for Americans. Day after day, large companies are slashing more high-paying positions. For example, ExxonMobil just announced that it will be eliminating 2,000 jobs. Oil giant ExxonMobil is preparing to cut thousands of jobs worldwide in a corporate reshuffling. A spokesperson for Exxon confirmed to Barron's on Tuesday that the company plans to cut 2,000 jobs, representing 3 to 4% of the energy company's global workforce. But that is nothing compared to what has been going on in the tech industry. Through September 15th, big tech companies have laid off 166,000 employees so far this year. Sadly, I expect to see the pace of layoffs accelerate in the months ahead because so many industries are deeply troubled at this moment. In recent days, we have been getting some extremely alarming warning signs from the auto industry. The warning signs are stacking up. First Brands, a manufacturer of filters, brakes, wipers, and lighting systems, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Sunday night. Its collapse comes just 2 weeks after subprime auto lender Tricolor Holdings went bankrupt and shut down, and follows June's Chapter 11 filing by Marelli, a supplier for Nissan and Chrysler. And how much worse are these layoffs going to get as Trump's tariffs during his trade war ramps up, and it just becomes even more expensive for these companies to import, foreign products, foreign materials. Experts told the Daily Mail that these bankruptcies are another part of an auto industry flashing danger signals that could spill into the broader economy. I have said this before, but I will say it again. If you have a job that you highly value, hold on to it as tightly as you can, because finding a new job would not be easy. Concerns about our rapidly deteriorating employment market caused U.S. consumer confidence to fall sharply this month. And, just the other week, I did a lesson showing that 68% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So even with the jobs they do have, whether they're low paying, decently paying, they're not able to stretch their dollars as far as they once could. Again, due to these rising prices with tariffs and just inflation and the devaluing of the value of the U.S. dollar, which, all goes back to these wonderful policies that, not just Trump, but all these presidents have been enacting over their terms. Which brings me back to Isaiah chapter 19. I'm going to read verses 14. Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And when you look at the decisions being made by those in the government, they're just decisions that make the situation in this country, economically on all levels worse. Again, Trump's tariffs are rising prices out here. With Doge earlier in the year, they laid off, a lot of essential workers to the government, which, they've had to start hiring, a lot of them back. Trump's big, beautiful bill has, just pumped even more billions, trillions of dollars into the government, which is further devaluing the currency. The list just goes on. And then just going to, these companies out here, they're pushing more for AI, which is going to take away, more jobs for people out here. You've got automation and then outsourcing. And then also, with ICE rounding up a lot of, Northern Kingdom, so-called Latinos, you've had a lot of them not show up to work at these different farms and businesses, which is causing a lot of farmers to lose, hundreds of thousands to, millions of dollars, just letting crops, rot in the fields because they've got no one to pick them. Concerns about our rapidly deteriorating employment market caused U.S. consumer confidence to fall sharply this month. Consumer confidence fell sharply in September on growing worries about the labor market. The Consumer Confidence Index dropped to 94.2% in September, from a revised 97.8% in the prior month. The conference board said Tuesday, this is the lowest level since April. Nobody can deny which way things are going. And now, on top of everything else, we could have an extended government shutdown on our hands, which has already happened. The federal government will likely shut down October 1st after President Donald Trump and congressional leaders failed to reach a funding compromise on September 30th. The partial shutdown will likely start at midnight on October 1st. The federal government will run out of money at the end of the fiscal year unless members of Congress overcome partisan differences and agree to pass a funding bill, USA Today reported. This is not going to be good for the economy at all. According to the Congressional Budget Office, it is being projected that approximately 750,000 federal employees will temporarily be furloughed for the duration of the shutdown. The Congressional Budget Office estimated on Tuesday that about 750,000 federal employees could be furloughed under a government shutdown, and the total cost of their compensation would be around $400 million. Furloughed employees receive back pay at the end of the shutdowns. A head nor tail, branch nor rush. Skip this part. As I have discussed in previous articles, there are some people that have applied for hundreds of jobs in recent months without any success at all. In fact, one 64-year-old man that has decades of experience in accounting has been getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning to work on his job search, but after many months, he hasn't had any luck. And hey, that paragraph is straight out of the scriptures. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. And when you go into the etymology of the word economy, it means housekeeping. So talking about, these chief economists and those on Wall Street. And we can see, and especially, with this recent government shutdown, you're going to see more alarm bells sounding in regards to the economy, job layoffs, inflation and stuff like that. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and again, consumer confidence has decreased, as well as numbers of Americans living paycheck to paycheck have increased. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders or workers cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Again, there shall be no work for Egypt that the head or tail, branch or rush may do. As we saw from that article, you've got multiple companies laying off people, and around only 48% of those under the age of 30, being able to find a full-time job, while, everybody else is in low-paying part-time jobs or unemployed. The grinders or workers ceasing because they are few. And the doors shall be shut in the streets. Businesses shutting down when the sound of the grinding or working is low. Several of those bankruptcies, we read that several companies were announcing, especially in the auto industry in that article. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. People rising up early to fill out job applications or find a job. In fact, one 64-year-old man that has decades of experience in accounting has been getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Those that rise up at the sound of the bird to work on his search, but after many months, he hasn't had any luck. And those that look out of the windows be darkened, don't see any good news or anything good coming on the horizon due to the current economic situation. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's just some boomer doing the old school way of trying to find a job. You can find people that are millennials and Gen Z especially, doing a lot of online applications and even getting AI to help with their applications, and still no luck. If you visit YouTube or TikTok right now, you can find thousands of videos of people complaining about the economy. As I have carefully documented, the U.S. economy has been moving in the wrong direction for many, many years, and now our economic slide threatens to become an economic avalanche. Of course, our economic problems are accelerating at a time when our world is facing one unprecedented crisis after another. I am extremely concerned about the months directly ahead of us. Yes, conditions are not good now, but the truth is that what we are currently experiencing is not even worth comparing to what is eventually coming. And in Matthew 24, verse 8, what does it say? All these are the beginning of sorrows. It's only going to get worse going forward. But now I'm going to go back to Isaiah chapter 19. I'm going to jump up to verse 5. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And with ancient Egypt, the Nile River was a major source of income. But looking at it spiritually, what's this talking about? The waters or rivers of businesses and jobs and the economy in America drying up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dry up. The reeds and the flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. And when the sound of the grinding or working is low, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. Bankruptcies, businesses laying off people not being able to find jobs. Verse 8, the fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Those that look out of the windows be darkened, because there's no work out here. And the work that is available, you cannot live on it. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave networks shall be confounded. And they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fishes. Head or tail, branch or rush may do. Jobs from all different economic levels in the economy, in the U.S., failing and not being able to maintain a livable standard for people out here. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharah.